I think I killed my wife.
September 1st, 2017, 1 a.m. These are the words of 28-year-old Matthew Phelps to the emergency responders in Raleigh, North Carolina. He says he's shocked, but he sounds detached.
I had a dream, and then I turn on the lights and she's dead on the floor. I have blood all over me, and there's a bloody knife on the bed. And I think I did it.
What at first seemed like a horrific cold medicine accident would soon unravel into something far more sinister. This was not a confused pastor. It was a narcissistic psycho killer of the worst kind. Lauren Ashley Phelps had been butchered by the man who had vowed to love and protect her just 10 months before, and her nightmare was only unraveling. Police arrived at Lauren and Matthew Phelps' residence on Penn Drive while Matthew was still on the phone with the dispatcher.
Is the door unlocked, Mr. Phelps? I don't know.
Soon enough, they found a scene that had officers retch and gasp for air. Lauren lay motionless on the floor, beyond any help emergency services could provide. And that's putting it lightly. Lauren Phelps was taken to the hospital because that's what paramedics are supposed to do. But it's not like she could have been saved. She was pronounced dead at the scene. The officers immediately noticed something odd about Matthew. For someone who claimed to have just woken up to find himself covered in his wife's blood, he appeared strangely clean, too clean. The blood on him was dry, not wet, as would be expected in the immediate aftermath of such a frenzied attack.
The blood's not wet on me, the blood is dry.
This single detail spoke volumes. Matthew hadn't immediately called for help. He'd taken time to clean himself up while Lauren let out. He'd prioritized creating his alibi over trying to save her life. And his alibi was thin, to say the least.
He talks about the fact that he had a dream that he was fighting and attacking his wife.
It was almost like Matthew was so self-assured he didn't think that the detectives would see through his lies.
Do you think she is beyond any help? I'm too scared to get too close to her.
The full horror emerged through the autopsy report. Lauren hadn't just been stabbed in a moment of rage or confusion. She had endured a sustained, relentless attack. 123 separate stab wounds across her body. 44 wounds targeted her face alone. She was mutilated beyond recognition. This sort of attack is always personal. Any detective knows this. The remaining wounds were scattered across her head, neck, torso, and arms. Lauren had no chance of escaping. By 4 a.m., Lauren's mother, Lori, was visited by 2 officers with this piece of news. Before the whole incident even dawned on her, a question popped into her mind.
And I turned back around and I said, "Did Matt kill her?" And they looked at me and said, "Why would you ask that question?"
Lori hadn't always thought of Matthew in those terms, but now she just knew. Lori and her other 2 daughters would have to learn that Lauren's face had been destroyed, and they would have to go to the morgue to see this.
And I said, "My beautiful baby."
Even the detectives couldn't maintain their professional distance with this case. They told Lori Matthew was a monster. He tortured her. If they were affected, imagine how Lauren's family felt and feels to this day. Lauren's position told another devastating story. She was found face down on the floor. Investigators concluded that Matthew had knocked her down, sat on her back, and continued his frenzied attack while she lay helpless. This wasn't self-defense. This wasn't a struggle. This was execution. On the bathroom counter sat Matthew's planned excuse, a bottle of quercetin cold medicine. He told the dispatcher that night,
I took more medicine than I should have. What medicine did you take? I took quercetin HPT cough and cold because I know it can make you feel good.
This transparent attempt to create a fake medical explanation for his actions would later collapse under scrutiny. No medicine makes you stab someone 123 times.
I had a dream, and then I turn on the lights and she's dead on the floor. I have blood all over me, and there's a bloody knife on the bed. And I think I did it.
No dream explains this level of violence. Sleepwalkers don't do this sort of thing. Matthew hadn't just killed Lauren, he had erased her. Now the detectives had to understand why, if there ever was a reason for such atrocity. Lauren Ashley Nicole Huglemeyer came into this world on June 9th, 1988, born to a family who cherished her from her first breath.
I miss her. I wish I could hold her.
In their Los Angeles County home, Lauren grew up surrounded by love. Her parents created a haven where faith mattered, where hard work was valued, and where family came first. Between her older sister Beth and younger sister Brianna, Lauren found her place. She was the middle child who brought everyone together with her natural warmth. People felt seen and heard by Lauren. She carried light with her everywhere and generously shared it with everyone she encountered. In 2007, Lauren proudly accepted her diploma from Swain County High School in North Carolina. Unlike many teens who drifted uncertainly after graduation, Lauren had a plan. She threw herself into her studies at Appalachian State University with the same passion that she brought to everything. Her dedication paid off in 2011 when she earned her degree in business administration and management, a first-generation college graduate that everyone was proud of. Lauren didn't just want a job, she wanted purpose. She found it working as an auditor at Quintiles. Ask anyone and they all say the same thing. Lauren was hardworking, dedicated, and a listener who made sure everyone's needs were met before she got her salary. Soon enough, she was also working as a Sensi independent consultant. Customers became her friends, and Lauren's ability to connect with people was paying off big time. But the career Lauren built with such care wasn't what defined her. Her heart belonged to her faith community. Every Sunday, children's faces lit up when they saw Miss Lauren arriving to teach Sunday school at Hope Lutheran Church. By 25, Lauren had created a life that many people twice her age would envy. Financial independence, hard won through determination, professional success earned through diligence, spiritual fulfillment deepened through service, and surrounding it all, a circle of people who cherished her presence in their lives. Her future stretched before her, glittering with promise, limitless possibilities waited just beyond the horizon. Then Matthew Phelps reappeared in her life, and darkness began to gather at the edges of her light. Some connections seem written in the stars. Lauren and Matthew had known each other back in middle school, just kids sharing hallways and homework assignments before losing touch when he transferred away. Their paths might never have crossed again, it would have been better that way, but Matthew found her years later scrolling through Instagram. He liked every single photo Lauren had ever posted. This wasn't casual interest, it was obsession disguised as devotion. But Lauren was the type of person that saw the good in everyone, so she chose to believe it was cute rather than icky. Their reconnection sparked through screens and soon ignited into something more. Text messages pinged at all hours, phone calls stretched deep into the night. Despite hundreds of miles separating them, Matthew in Kentucky, Lauren in North Carolina, their relationship accelerated at a dizzying pace. Distance could not contain Matthew's pursuit. He abandoned his Kentucky life and relocated to North Carolina, determined to claim his place in Lauren's world. The grand romantic gesture impressed everyone. Everyone except Lauren's father. Dale Huglemeyer couldn't explain what troubled him about his daughter's new boyfriend. On paper, Matthew Phelps seemed perfect. Clean-cut appearance, articulate speech, professed devotion to faith, apparent adoration of Lauren. The young man smiled and said all the right things, yet something felt wrong, too calculated, too flawless, too eager. Dale would say, "I think about it every day, what I did wrong, what I missed. To this day, I just regret not knowing or keeping my eyes open and watching." The first crack in Matthew's carefully constructed image appeared during a family game night. Casual conversation turned into awkward silence when Matthew mentioned his previous marriage and divorce. He had never mentioned this to Lauren, and yet there he was, hanging out with her family. The room fell silent, questions hung in the air, but everyone was too polite to ask him right there and then, "What else are you hiding?" Despite this revelation though, Lauren's heart was already his. Love blinded her to warnings that might otherwise have been clear. She believed in second chances, in redemption, in the power of love to heal past wounds. Their engagement in 2015 delighted Lauren. She planned the wedding to reflect their shared passions, and in 2016 they exchanged vows surrounded by Star Wars decor. Photos captured their beaming faces differences, a young couple starting what should have been a beautiful journey together. No one suspected just how dark Matthew's mind was. No one really wants to believe that people can be so evil. Matthew's childhood offered clues into the man he would become. His parents separated shortly after his birth, and his biological father vanished completely. His mother drifted in and out of his life like a ghost. His grandparents stepped in to raise him, providing shelter but unable to heal the abandonment that shaped his earliest understanding of love. High school pushed Matthew toward bad crowds. Substance abuse followed. He experimented with various drugs, including quercetin, the very same cough medicine he would later blame for Lauren's murder. His behavior grew so alarming that his grandparents intervened, removing him from public school and placing him in a private Christian academy where structure might save him from himself. His grandparents saw what they wanted to see: academic improvement, social adjustment, and Matt's acceptance to Clear Creek Baptist Bible College in Pineville, Kentucky. But achievements are not the same as healing. Diplomas don't mend broken souls. College acceptances can't fill the emptiness that began in childhood. No one asked Matthew how he felt. No one questioned what was happening beneath his carefully maintained smile. The adults around him mistook external success for internal peace, a deadly error repeated in homes over and over again. Matthew's transformation was a performance, not a healing. His improvement was adaptation, not growth. While authority figures nodded with approval at his outward progress, his inner turmoil festered in darkness, untouched, unacknowledged, and unresolved. This isn't just Matthew's story, it's the story of countless young people taught to hide their true selves behind achievements that pleases adults. The price of this collective failure would eventually be paid in Lauren's blood. Dream marriage began to unravel almost immediately. Within months of their wedding, Lauren discovered that Matthew wasn't the devoted partner she had believed him to be. While she worked multiple jobs to support their household, Matthew struggled to maintain steady employment. When he did find work, he would inexplicably quit after short periods.
Lauren was the breadwinner. Apparently, Matthew did not work and stayed home and played video games all day.
Yeah, you heard that right. This was a fully grown man already in his second marriage. Lauren's brother-in-law would say,
he spent like $1,200 on things for this video game.
He would say, of course I need my iTunes and Xbox subscriptions for my games. He spoke as if he couldn't live without them. And when Lauren refused to fund his gaming habit, he began to steal money from her purse. Lauren had approximately $10,000 in savings before her marriage. By the time of her death, just 10 months later, that amount had dwindled to only $1,000. Matthew's reckless spending destroyed not only their financial stability, but also their shared dreams.
He had spent so much money and gone through so much, and she said, I just can't do this any longer.
The couple had been saving for a trip to Disney World, a special adventure for the Star Wars enthusiasts. But Matthew constantly depleted their savings with impulsive purchases, preventing them from reaching their goal. Financial struggles weren't the only source of tension. When visiting Matthew's family 6 months into their marriage, Lauren felt unwelcomed and isolated. Matthew's mother, who had worn white to their wedding in a deliberate slight, gave Lauren the cold shoulder, while Matthew and his mother argued constantly throughout the visit. Even more troubling signs of Matthew's controlling nature and paranoia. He became irrationally jealous of a man at their church who he claimed was interested in Lauren, yet simultaneously he was spending suspicious amounts of time with a female neighbor, behavior that led Lauren to suspect that he was having an affair. In one painful incident, Lauren was preparing dinner after returning from work when Matthew left to hang out with the neighbor. He texted Lauren saying he was having way too much fun and that she should just eat without him. What a cruel message from a cruel man with double standards. As the marriage deteriorated, Lauren confided in her sister Beth. During these conversations, Lauren revealed the extent of her unhappiness and Matthew's controlling, manipulative behavior. She was beginning to realize that she had married a stranger.
Brought up the word divorce and she said, Beth, I don't want to get a divorce.
Because of her strong religious beliefs, Lauren resisted the idea of a divorce, viewing that as a last resort.
She went over and above trying to make it work.
Instead, she doubled down on trying to save the marriage, keeping up appearances on social media with carefully curated photos and captions that portrayed a happy union. The reality behind closed doors was starkly different. As investigators delved deeper into Matthew's life following Lauren's murder, they uncovered evidence of a deeply troubled mind. Matthew maintained secret Instagram accounts with usernames like Marty_radical and Uncanny_Maddie. On these accounts, he posted dark content, particularly images from the film American Psycho, a movie about an investment banker who leads a double life as a serial killer. The profile picture for one account showed Christian Bale's character from the film covered in blood spatter. The bio for Uncanny Maddie read, "I'm just a pitiful, anonymous, drifting into the abstract. I can't seem to tell if I'm dreaming anymore." Even more chilling was a post made shortly before Lauren's murder. "Everyone thinks I'm a serial killer. Found an angel to kill." Matthew's fascination with the macabre extended beyond social media. A friend reported that during a casual conversation over drinks, Matthew had brought up the subject of serial killers and confessed he often wondered what it would feel like to take someone's life. This wasn't that morbid curiosity that some teens might have. There was a strange energy about Matt, his friend said, an intensity that in hindsight should have set off alarm bells. Investigators also discovered that in the months leading up to Lauren's death, Matthew had conducted these creepy online searches.
Like, how much Courseine can I take before I black out, or how much can I take with alcohol?
These were calculated research of someone plotting a crime and establishing an alibi.
He blamed it on cough medicine. Did you ever buy that?
No.
Never.
The cough medicine defense was further undermined when the manufacturer of cornicinidin released a statement saying there was no evidence linking their product to violent behavior. Medical reports revealed that Matthew had only trace amounts of the drug in his system at the time of the murder, far too little to have impaired his judgment.
There's no way that you can blame it on the medicine, blame it on your dream.
Perhaps most damning was the evidence that after stabbing Lauren 123 times, Matthew had methodically cleaned himself up before calling 911. This wasn't the action of someone in a dissociative state. It was the calculated behavior of someone trying to manipulate a crime scene.
He planned the whole thing from the get-go, in my opinion, right from day one to the end.
Matthew had spent years constructing an elaborate facade. The devoted husband, the aspiring pastor, the reformed troubled youth. But beneath this carefully crafted exterior lurked something sinister. Something that had been waiting for the right moment to emerge. And when Lauren said she wanted to leave the marriage, that moment arrived. In the weeks before her death, Lauren's demeanor changed. She seemed anxious, withdrawn, and afraid. Her father noticed this shift, but didn't press her for details, a decision he would come to deeply regret.
I should have seen it.
Just hours before the murder, Lauren had spoken with her sister about Matthew's suspected affair, after witnessing him sneaking out to meet another woman. Lauren's sister believes that this confrontation may have been the catalyst for Matthew's deadly rage. When Lauren finally told Matthew she was done, that she could no longer tolerate his lies, manipulation, and financial abuse, he made a decision.
I think that he made a decision that day that Lauren was not going to leave him, even if that meant he had to kill her.
The attack was brutal and prolonged. Matthew didn't simply kill Lauren, he annihilated her. The 123 wounds weren't just about ending her life. They were about expressing rage, dominance, and a twisted desire to destroy what he couldn't possess. After the attack, Matthew carefully staged the scene. He placed the knife on the bed, and he set out the cough medicine. He cleaned himself up, removing most of the blood evidence from his body. Only then did he call 911, affecting the dazed, confused demeanor of someone who had just woken up from a nightmare.
Is the door unlocked, Mr. Phelps?
I don't know.
But the nightmare was real, and it was one he had created. Initially, Matthew maintained his innocence, clinging to his story about the cold medicine, but as evidence mounted against him, he changed course. In October 2018, facing the possibility of the death penalty, Matthew Phelps pleaded guilty to first-degree murder. He was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. In the courtroom, he offered an apology to Lauren's family.
I am sorry that I took away Lauren's life.
But his voice was flat, and Lauren's family couldn't care less about his attempt. It came far too late.
Will you ever be able to forgive him?
No, never. I'll take him to my grave. and I'll still hate him.
Lauren's mother described Matthew as a master manipulator who had planned the murder for months. In her view, Lauren had been lured into a trap by someone who took advantage of her kindness and generosity. Lauren Phelps lived just 29 years. Her life was cut short by the man who had vowed to cherish her. She died not knowing the full extent of his deception, not understanding the darkness that had been lurking beside her as she slept. She had been brilliant and kind, a daughter, a sister, a friend, a Sunday school teacher who touched countless young lives, a young woman with dreams who believed in second chances, in redemption, in the power of love to transform. In the wake of her death, Lauren's family established an organization called Lauren's Light to raise awareness about relationships and domestic violence. They hope that by sharing Lauren's story, they might help others recognize the warning signs before it's too late.
I'm sorry. I let you down. I should have seen it. All I can tell her, I'm sorry. But I ain't gonna let the rest of them down. Not no more.
Lauren's story reminds us that domestic violence doesn't always announce itself with bruises and broken bones. Sometimes it hides behind financial control, emotional manipulation, and a facade of normalcy that conceals its deadly potential. It reminds us that those who seem the most devoted to faith can sometimes use that as a mask for their darkest impulses. That charm and charisma can be weapons, that the most dangerous monsters often look just like everyone else. Most of all, it reminds us of the value of asking questions when something feels wrong, of our trusting instincts, of creating spaces where those suffering in silence can speak their truth before it's too late. Lauren's light was extinguished too soon, but through her story, others might find their way out of darkness. We call this a relationship gone wrong, but was it ever right? Was Matthew's charm always just the mask of a predator selecting his prey? Should we question our churches when they elevate men like Matthew without examining what lies beneath their scripture quotes and Sunday smiles? Like this video if Lauren's story touched you. Subscribe for more truths society needs to face. The next video explores another tragedy hiding in plain sight.